the world's second longest ruling monarch in history, her reign spanning 70 years. We just received a tweet from the royal family saying the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow.
This is, of course, something that has been a great subject, her health over the past several years, and certainly this year as well. We just saw her celebrate 70 years, the Queen's Jubilee, something we have never seen before, that a monarch serving 70 years there. But this statement now follows an earlier statement, Robach, that we got from the palace, which was very rare and very concerning to a lot of people, that they said that there was a concern, or doctors had concern about her health, and that she was under medical supervision. People who have watched the palace for years and years know that that was almost an unprecedented statement for them to put out. And because of that, there was a lot of concern about her health. She had been on summer break at her palace there, her castle in Balmoral, her home in Scotland. Her kids are there. Prince Charles is there, Princess Anne, Prince Edward, Prince Andrew, they're there. Prince William did get in a short time later. We're told Prince Harry is on his way, but we also, Robot, saw the last time a public image of her was just on Tuesday.
That's right. She appointed the new Prime Minister there, Liz Truss, and the other reason why people were concerned, there was a scheduled meeting with top ministers. It was postponed yesterday. Doctors urging the Queen to get rest. Her health had been a growing concern since she was hospitalized in London, you may remember. Back in October, there was a bout with COVID in February. She also missed the opening of Parliament in May for only the third time. And the Queen did turn 96 in April, and we all remember the celebratory Platinum Jubilee back in June. You're looking there, by the way, at a live shot of the Union Jack, now flying at half staff, and certainly a much different crowd forming there near Buckingham Palace. Typically we see notices. Sometimes we see births, and this time we're expecting to see, of course, the announcement of the death of the Queen being placed at the gates of both Buckingham Palace and Balmoral as well. So we are monitoring those gates as well. We know that our Maggie Ruley has been on the ground there in Scotland, reporting the very latest as we first got word about the Queen's failing health. So Maggie, give us a sense of what things are like there and what you've learned.
Yeah, Amy and TJ, like you guys have said, there have been so many concerns, but I think for people hearing the news for the first time right now, we're in shock. It's almost hard to imagine a world without Queen Elizabeth. She has been such a constant for the past 70 years. Her face on coins, on stamps, just written into the fabric of British culture. But it's more than that. The entire world knows Queen Elizabeth. The vast majority know her as the British monarch, their only British monarch. So today is the end of an era. Today is the end of the second Elizabethan age. And it's hard to overstate just how important this moment is, how historical this moment is. You know, the three of us, we were all there at the Platinum Jubilee. I think that's when I really felt and saw firsthand what the Queen means to this country. The Queen is country. So to lose her today, it's losing a sense of your identity. And I think going forward, not only will there be shock, it is quickly turning to grief, not just here in the UK, but around the world.
And you mentioned there, Maggie, shock and grief. This is a 96-year-old woman whose health has been obviously talked about for some time. She started using a cane. But again, she made it through that bout of COVID earlier this year. And again, at the Jubilee, there were moments, and as we share pictures here, Balmoral, we talk about where she is now, this home that many people, as I bring in our ABC News contributor, Robert Jobson, who's at Buckingham Palace for us. Robert, I actually want to tell you, we heard you in our ear a short time ago. We heard you talking to your sources. And even though she's 96, her health has been a concern for a while, to hear you say the words that your source had told you she's gone, still in some way that's shocking and sends chills.
Well, it's a deeply sad day for the people of Britain and the people of the Commonwealth, indeed for the world, because, you know, this is an incredible lady that carried out her duty all her life, and in fact was doing her duty swearing in the new Prime Minister just a couple of days ago, which just shows you the type of incredible person that she was. But now the machinations of the Constitution of this country, they'll get into play. There is the Prince of Wales there is the King, and Camilla is the Queen Consort. The situation is going to unfold over the next few days, where the Queen's body will be moved to Holyrood in Edinburgh, and then there'll be a service at St Giles Cathedral. And then the body will be brought down to, it's quite hard actually even saying it, but be brought down to London for the for the ceremony that will take place here. So we've got 10 days of mourning before the funeral, but this country and the world is in mourning now, and it's we can only reflect on what was a truly incredible reign from an amazing person who was the epitome of duty and dedication of service.
Well, Robert, we know that we will be checking in with your expertise as to what is going to happen over the next few days, but we're showing you here. This is the official royal family website, and you can see now it has gone black with Queen Elizabeth II's birth date in 1926 all the way to her death today in 2022. This website actually even crashed earlier today following the news of the Queen's health concerns. When people went on to check on the Queen and to see what the royal family was saying, an error message actually appeared on the screen reading gateway timeout, but you can see now the website turning black in honor of Queen Elizabeth II. And of course, we know she was queen for more than half a century, 70 years to be specific. Queen Elizabeth II reigned over a rapidly changing country. The last days of what was once a vast empire, she weathered scandals, both personal and professional, that would threaten the future of the monarchy. But through it all, she ruled with a steady hand and a sincere devotion to the British people. That affection was mutual, a connection that captured so many times that why today Great Britain is a nation in mourning as we see those crowds gather at Buckingham Palace. We have ABC's Terry Moran taking a look back at her life.
She was simply, to millions around the world, the Queen. The most famous woman of her time, from her coronation in 1953 to the outpouring of affection on her Diamond Jubilee marking 60 years on the throne. So much history, so many indelible moments. Decade after decade, from the Cold War to the computer age, what an extraordinary reign. And for all those years, through all that history, duty is what defined this remarkable woman. She was born in 1926, a little princess, Lilibet her family called her, who was never expected to become queen until her uncle, the Playboy King Edward VIII, abdicated the throne to marry an American divorcee, and her father then became King George VI. The young Elizabeth was suddenly next in line for the throne.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family.
During World War II, the princess did her duty. She was a driver and mechanic on the home front, and she fell in love in those years, a handsome prince, swashbuckling Navy Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten.
Take leave
to my wedded husband.
to my wedded husband.
They married in 1947. 5 years later, when King George died, Lilibet became Queen Elizabeth II. Her coronation was an international sensation. But the British Empire Elizabeth inherited was falling apart, all the colonies becoming independent nations. So she helped to create a new realm, dubbed the British Commonwealth.
When we were young, it was very easy to take our grandmother for granted. She was just a grandmother to us. I've actually really learned to sort of understand and accept the huge deal that she is around the world.
Elizabeth traveled the world, more than 250 overseas trips, showing how the British monarch could change with the times and shape them, even as she raised 4 children, the most famous working mum in the world.
She was a young woman in a man's world, carving her own way through life and through a job that she, like any of us, don't necessarily have all the preparations you'd like. I think she's done amazingly well.
Queen Elizabeth reigned through over a dozen American presidents and just as many British prime ministers. Her first was the formidable Winston Churchill, proving a savvy stateswoman and a constant leader on the world stage. The years brought their ups and downs. The wedding of Prince Charles and Diana seemed to be a highlight, and Elizabeth watched as her daughter-in-law captivated the world in the 1980s. But when that marriage collapsed so scandalously, many Britons began to doubt the relevancy of the monarchy itself. When Diana was killed in a car crash in Paris, Elizabeth stayed in Scotland with her family. As waves of grief rolled over Britain, the Queen was seen as unsympathetic, and public anger at the royal family reached a fever pitch. And then she returned and joined her people in mourning.
What I say to you now, as your Queen and as a grandmother,
I say from my heart. First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself. She was an exceptional and gifted human being.
As monarch, Elizabeth maintained tradition and yet moved just enough with the times.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Your Majesty.
Who can forget her appearance alongside 007 Daniel Craig at the London Olympics? It was a rare moment of public fun from a woman who prized dignity, but her family knew a different side.
If you do ever have problems, you can share them with her and she will listen and she will try and help. But otherwise, she sort of lets you get on with your own life and carve your own path.
Perhaps one of Elizabeth's proudest moments, Prince William's marriage to Kate Middleton in 2011, a wedding that united the British people and breathed fresh life into the monarchy. 2 years later, the Queen would welcome the newest heir to the throne, Prince George, and later Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis.
She's a remarkably energetic and dedicated guiding force for her family. And I'm so glad that my children are having the chance to get to know the Queen.
In 2015, Elizabeth became the longest-serving monarch in British history, passing her great-grandmother, Queen Victoria. A long life, a long reign. She watched with pride as the next generation celebrated milestones, and she endured the disgrace of her son Andrew's public scandals that saw the Queen strip him of his military affiliations, royal patronages, and the title of His Royal Highness. Her reign, which was born out of her uncle's abdication, saw her grandson Prince Harry also step away from royal life.
The decision that I have made for my wife and I to step back is not one I made lightly. There was so many months of talks after so many years of challenges. And I know I haven't always gotten it right, but as far as this goes, there really was no other option.
One biographer called her Elizabeth the Steadfast, her strength guiding her people through the COVID-19 outbreak.
We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
Elizabeth's deep sense of duty above all, earning her a permanent place in the hearts of the British people. In 2021, she mourned her greatest loss, the rock of her own life, her husband, Prince Philip, her closest confidant and advisor. Their marriage was an enduring partnership, a sentiment she shared on their 50th wedding anniversary.
All too often, I fear Prince Philip has had to listen to me speaking. But he has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years.
73 years of marriage spent side by side, and at his funeral, the poignant images of the Queen, due to COVID protocols, seated alone. She will be remembered for a lifetime of unwavering service to her country. Perhaps Prince Charles put it best on the night of his mother's Diamond Jubilee.
As a nation, this is our opportunity to thank you and my father for always being there for us, for inspiring us with your selfless duty and service, and for making us proud to be British.
The Queen is dead. Long live the King.